Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today let's talk about the famous romantic poet, William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth, 1770-1850. Born in 1770, Cockmouth, Cumberland, in the scenic Lake District of England. His father, John Wordsworth, was a legal agent for Sir James Latham. His mother, Anne Coxon Wordsworth. Wordsworth's siblings. There were 5 children in the family, and William was very close to his sister, Dorothy Wordsworth, a lifelong confidant and a companion. His mother died in 1778 when William Wordsworth was only 8 years. His father died in 1783, leading to emotional and financial struggles. Wordsworth got separated from his sister Dorothy after the parents' death and was sent to live with his relatives. Hoxted Grammar School. In Hoxted Grammar School, he began writing poetry immersed in nature and he developed his early romantic sensibilities. Then he attended St. John's College, Cambridge from 1787 to 1791. He graduated without distinction and disenchanted with the academic rigidity. He avoided becoming a clergyman, breaking from traditional career expectations. In 1790, he traveled to France and Switzerland, witnessing the early enthusiasm of French Revolution. In 1791 to 1902, he returned to France, lived in Orleans, and fell in love with Annette Vallin, a French woman. And in this relationship, he had a daughter whose name is Caroline. Wordsworth struggled financially and returned to England in 1793, separated from Annette due to war tensions between England and France. Initially supported the French Revolution, but he grew disillusioned with its violence and the reign of terror. Now going to Wordsworth's literary career and major works. Poetic philosophy. Wordsworth revolutionized English poetry by rejecting the artificiality of neoclassical diction. Instead, Wordsworth advocated for use of simple, everyday language, focus on ordinary life and humble rural subjects. Poetry as a product of emotion, recollected in tranquility. Nature as the moral and spiritual guide. Now Wordsworth's key works and other details. A Lyrical Ballad, 1798, republished in 1800, with Samuel Taylor Coleridge. This work launched the Romantic movement in English literature. And this work includes poems like Wordsworth's N.T.R. Abbey lines, We Are Seven, Expostulation and Reply. And this collection also included Samuel Taylor Coleridge's work, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. The 1800 edition of the Lyrical Ballads featured Wordsworth's famous preface to the Lyrical Ballads, outlining his poetic principles. And the themes include natural beauty, common life, emotion, anti-industrial sentiment. Then the next work, The Prelude, 1799, 1805, 1850. Is an autobiographical epic poem chronicling the development of his poetic mind. It's an unfinished work. During his lifetime, Wordsworth couldn't finish this, And he published posthumously in 1850 by his wife Mary Wordsworth. Wordsworth here describes his relationship with the nature, political upheaval, and a spiritual growth. It is recognized as Wordsworth's greatest philosophical and literary achievement. Then the next work, that is Odd Intimations of Immortality from Recollections of Early Childhood, 1807. And this work mounts the loss of childhood's visionary perception and the spiritual glow of innocence. A belief in pre-existence that is inspired by Plato, that the soul comes from heaven and it gradually forgets its origin. And it affirms that nature compensates for this loss by teaching wisdom and moral strength. Then the next work, that is Lucy Poems, 1798 to 1801, short lyric poems about a mysterious young woman, possibly fictional or symbolic. Themes in these collections include love, solitude, death, the transience of beauty, and emotional introspection. For example, she dwelt among the untrodden ways. A slumber did my spirit seal. The next work, that is Michael, published in 1800, a pastoral poem portraying the life of an aging shepherd and the tragic story of his son. And the themes in Michael include loss, rural virtue, industrial corruption, familial bonds. Now the next work is The Excursion, 1814, a long philosophical and spiritual dialogue between characters like the wanderer, solitary, and a pastor. And this work emphasizes faith, endurance, natural beauty, and a poetic inspiration. Now some other poems written by Wordsworth include I Wanted Lonely as a Cloud, also called the Daffodils, then Solitary Reaper, The World is Too Much with Us, Lines Written in Early Spring, My Heart Leaps Up, Resolution and Independence, To a Skylark. Now let's talk about Wordsworth's relationships and collaborations. First of all, Dorothy Wordsworth, who kept journals that inspired many of William's poems, shared an intense emotional and intellectual companionship with Wordsworth. Next, we have Samuel Taylor Coleridge, friend and creative collaborator. The joint work titled Lyrical Ballads reshaped English poetry. Their relationship later strained due to personal and ideological differences. Then we have Annette Valin, a French woman Wordsworth fell in love with, and they had a daughter, Caroline, with her. Then we have Mary Hutchinson, with whom Wordsworth married in 1802, and they had 5 children, a strong, stabilizing influence in Wordsworth's later life. Now let's discuss Wordsworth's poet laureateship and her later life. Wordsworth became Poet Laureate of England in 1843, succeeding Robert Southey. He became increasingly conservative politically and religiously over time. He experienced personal tragedies like the loss of 2 children, then Dorothy's mental illness, and Coleridge's alienation. Wordsworth died on April 23, 1850, same date as William Shakespeare's, and was buried in a Grasmere church. Now let's discuss some of Wordsworth's prose works. The first one, Preface to Lyrical Ballads, 1800 and 1802, a key theoretical text in Romanticism, claims poetry should be a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, emphasizes emotion, memory, reflection, and the ordinary as extraordinary. Essays on epitaph, guide to the lakes, political pamphlets, and autobiographical notes. These are some of Wordsworth's prose works. Now talking about the themes we can see in Wordsworth's works. First of all, nature as moral teacher. Nature provides spiritual and ethical guidance. Then the power of memory. Memory transforms fleeting experience into lasting wisdom. Then a childhood and innocence. Children possess a visionary closeness to the divine. Then emotion over reason. Wordsworth valued an inner feeling over rational thought. Then reverence for the common man. Poetry could uplift and immortalize rustic life. Now talking about the critical reception and legacy Wordsworth got. Wordsworth was criticized in his time by Lord Byron and John Keats for being too simple or dull. Later generations recognized Wordsworth's genius, and he was praised by T.S. Eliot and Matthew Arnold. Wordsworth is seen as the father of English Romanticism, and he laid the groundwork for modern nature poetry and environmental writing and a psychological introspection in verse. Wordsworth's influence was visible in poets from Thomas Hardy to Seamus Heaney. Now let's talk about some of the main poems and themes. First one, I Wanted Lonely as a Cloud. And this work celebrates the beauty and serenity of nature, especially the lasting joy derived from simple natural sights like daffodils. The poem explores the power of memory and solitude and enhancing spiritual and emotional well-being. Then we have the next poem, that is N.T.R lines. Lines composed of few miles about N.T.R. And this work reflects on the transformative and retrospective power of nature on a human mind and soul. Wordsworth contrasts youthful enthusiasm with a mature introspection, showing how nature becomes a moral and a spiritual guide. Next, we have the Solitary Reaper. And this work captures a fleeting yet a profound emotional connection with a solitary Highland girl singing in the field. The poem explores themes of beauty in a commonplace, isolation, and the mystery of art and song. Then we have the poem or Intimations of Immortality from Recollections of Early Childhood. And this work examines the loss of childhood's divine vision and the gradual dulling of perception with age. And it suggests that while we lose the purity of youth, we gain wisdom and a spiritual insight through nature and experience. Then we have Lines Written in Early Spring. And this work expresses our deep sadness at the contrast between nature's harmony and humanity's moral and social degradation. It emphasizes human alienation from natural world and critiques the effect of civilization. Next we have The World is Too Much With Us. And this work critiques modern society's obsession with materialism and its disconnection from nature. Wordsworth longs for a return to a more mythical and spiritually connected existence with the natural world. Next we have A Slumber Did My Spirit Sail, as a brief elegy reflecting on death and the eternal stillness it brings. The poem contemplates the relationship between life, death, and the eternal presence of nature. Next we have She Dwelt Among the Untrodden Ways, a melancholic tribute to a simple, unnoticed woman whose life and death remain largely unknown. And this work explores themes of loss, obscurity, and the emotional depth of unnoticed lives. Next, we have a Michael, a pastoral poem. And it tells the story of a shepherd and his tragic relationship with his son, symbolizing the destruction of rural life by industrialization. And it highlights the themes of familial love, sacrifice, and the erosion of traditional values. Next, we have a poem composed upon Westminster Bridge. And it finds awe-inspiring beauty in the quiet early morning scene of industrial London. It demonstrates Wordsworth's belief that even urban environments can possess natural sublimity when viewed with a reflective mind. Next, we have a My Heart Leaps Up. It emphasizes the entering joy of natural beauty, especially from childhood to adulthood. It introduces the famous line, "The child is the father of the man," underscoring continuity of spiritual perception across time. Next, we have the Lucy poem, Lucy Gray. Based on a local legend, a poem recounts the death of a young girl lost in the snow. And this work blends tragedy with nature's indifference, portraying innocence, solitude, and the merging of human fate with the landscape. Next, we have a Resolution and Independence. Begins with the poet's on melancholy, but shifts to admiration of an old leech gatherer's perseverance. It reflects on the theme of human resilience, contrasting despair with a great determination drawn from nature and age. Next, we have To a Skylark. To a Skylark celebrates the skylark's joyful, spontaneous song as a symbol of purity and freedom. And it examines the idea that unconscious joy in animals can teach humans to rise above sorrow. Then we have the Prelude selections, an epic autobiographical poem chronicling Wordsworth's spiritual and poetic development. It explores how childhood, nature, memory, and experience shape personal growth and artistic sensibility. Then we have the book Nutting. Nutting recounts a childhood memory of gathering nuts and the emotional aftermath of violating nature's stillness. And it reflects on innocence, destruction, and a reverence for nature, highlighting the transition from thoughtless youth to reflective adulthood. Then we have the Idiot Boy, and it tells the story of a mentally challenged boy sent on an errand by his mother, revealing innocence and maternal love. And this book challenges the social perceptions of madness and explores the theme of emotional intuition over rational judgment. Next, we have the word expostulation and reply. It's a dialogue between two friends about the value of introspection and a passive receptivity to nature. And this book advocates that wisdom comes not only from books, but from silent communion with nature and intuitive experience. Then we have a VR7, centers on a young girl's refusal to acknowledge the death of two siblings, insisting they are still part of her family. And this work explores themes of childhood innocence, death, and the continuity of familial love beyond mortality. Then we have Yew Trees. Yew Trees is a dark, meditative poem about ancient yew trees in a churchyard, symbolizing eternity and death. It conveys a Gothic reverence for nature's mysterious power and a nature as both beautiful and ominous.